Hi. Um, so this video, first of all, is going to be something completely different from what I've done before. This video is actually going to be a guide for Barrows for medium to low levels. I was talking with a friend recently, and they mentioned how they had not seen many guides on low level Barrows runs. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna explain some gear that I've picked out, plus my inventory, and I'll explain a couple ways to get to Barrows, and then I'll record a full trip using this gear. The first thing I'll mention is that I'm going to try and simulate being low level as much as possible. Um, Jakiosaurus used Zamorak potions, I believe, to get his stats down. I'm not going to do that because I'm an iron and I don't want to make those really. So what I'm going to do instead is I believe hopefully once I've finished explaining everything, my HP will be at around 65, and I'm going to keep my prayer at or below 50. So I won't eat until it gets me to 65, and I won't drink a prayer potion unless it gets me to around 50, and that'll hopefully simulate some of doing Barrows as a low level player. I'm combat level 117. These are my stats. My combat stats are fairly high, so we'll see how this goes. So first of all, we will talk about my gear. So to do Barrows, you basically need a good magic item and a good range item, because all but one of the Barrows brothers are weak to magic, and then the last one that isn't weak to magic is fairly weak to range. So I would recommend having at least 60 plus in your combat stats. Um, I'd recommend having 60 plus range and then 50 plus magic, with hopefully Underground Pass done for the Ivan staff. If you don't have Underground Pass done, you could use Magic Dart, which requires the Magic Staff traded by Slayer Masters. I believe it's around 80k to get that. So it is kind of expensive, but it works not as well as Ivan Blast, but similarly. But in this one, we're going to be using Ivan Blast, which is why I have the Ivan's Blast staff equipped. Upgraded just means it has more cast, it's not stronger. Okay, so now that we've talked about that, because the Barrows brothers actually have a very low magic defense, it's actually negative. This means that you can wear armor and your Ivan staff will still hit, because even though you have a negative attack bonus, the negative magic defense bonus of the Barrows brothers cancels that out, and you'll still hit fairly often and regularly with magic against them. So with that in mind, we want the highest defensive stats that we can muster, especially for a low level. Higher levels can usually tank the Barrows brothers with relatively decent gear and not need highly defensive armor, but lower levels should wear pretty much as much armor as you can. So since we have base 60s here, I'm gone with dragon armor for the head, legs, and body. Now I don't have a dragon chain body because I'm an iron, so in order to simulate that, we'll be using a fighter torso. So yeah, full dragon here. We're using Ivan's staff for our magic attack, and hopefully you can get a prayer book after completing the quest Horror from the Deep. Where is it? Right here. Horror from the Deep. It's a relatively simple and easy quest to do. After you complete it, you are given the option to take a damaged book of any god. Mine is an unholy book, which means I've actually completed this book and it gives me attack bonuses. But even just the damaged book will give you the +5 prayer bonus. So If you want to buy the pages for a book, I'd recommend the cheaper ones, maybe Guthan or Saradomin. But otherwise, you can just complete the quest and use the regular damaged book for the prayer bonus there. That's why I've got that in my offhand, because Barrows is all about maintaining prayer and health, which is why I've got prayer potions and food here. An Amulet of Glory, they're fairly cheap. It's around, yeah, 12k. You should be able to get that no problem. Hopefully you've done Mage Training Arena for the Zamorak Cape. If not, an Ardun Cape will work perfectly fine. Whichever level Ardun Cloak you have, use it. It gives a plus magic attack, prayer, and a little bit of stab bonus. So that'll be good in replace of the Mage Training Arena Cape. Boots don't matter too much. If you have dragon boots, you could probably go ahead and use them. I didn't have an extra pair, so I'm not using them here. If you have God D'hide boots, that would be a good replacement there. Alternatively, if you have a Nada's Knot helmet, that'll be a good replacement for the Dragon Medium helmet. The Nada's Knot helmet requires, I believe, the Fremnik Isles done, which also requires Fremnik Trials. So if you don't feel like doing those two quests to get the Nada's Knot helm, Dragon Helmet will work almost as good. For the quiver slot, we've got rune arrows to go with our magic shortbow here. Use your best RFD gloves, recipe for disaster gloves that you have. I'm going with adamant since I'm assuming the person watching this guide doesn't have much of recipe for disaster completed. And if you've got mithril, use that. For the ring slot, since we'll be refilling or regenerating our stats at Clan Wars, we'll be using a Ring of Dueling for the ring slot. That way we save an inventory space here. Plus the ring slot doesn't matter too much. If you have an Archer's Ring, use that. If you have a Berserker's Ring, use that. You can always put the Ring of Dueling in your inventory, and that'll work fine too. So, speaking of inventory, this is mine. I've kept these 4 spots up here open for the range switch. That will be for the Ahrim brother. So once we decide to do Ahrim, we will switch into our range gear. And the 4 items that come into our inventory because we switched will fit nicely up there. So with our ranged gear, obviously use your best D'hide you have available. God D'hide would work the best since they give a prayer bonus, but if you do not have God D'hide, use your best, which would hopefully be black or red D'hide. Since you have 60 plus range, use a magic shortbow. The rapid attack on it will shred Ahrim, especially with the rune arrows that we've gotten here. Rune arrows aren't very expensive. I believe I price checked them here. Yes, they're about 26k for 400. 400 should get you at least maybe 10 trips done, maybe more. I don't exactly remember. So yeah, after you switch to range, if you want to go back to melee, you just click across like that again, and there you are. Something I will be adding just now, because I had forgotten, would be a melee weapon. So if you can use an Abyssal Whip and a Dragon Defender, do that. If not, hopefully you have a Dragon Scimitar, or I will be using a Dragon Sword here to be fair to lower levels. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and replace 2 of these food here with the melee, because after you've killed all of the brothers, you'll be going down into a crypt where you will have to fight a few monsters. So the easiest way to do that, since we don't want to use runes or waste our rune arrows, we will just take a couple of melee items for that. I'm bringing 4 prayer potions along. You never really know. Okay, so I'm bringing 4 prayer potions along. This should be more than enough for 1 KC. We're bringing 4 so that we can go back to Barrows without necessarily refilling our prayer, and it'll make a smooth transition. Bring the highest level food that you have or that you can afford. I'm going to use swordfish here to be fair. And you want to leave a few spaces open here for your Barrows rewards. You'll get, usually you will get mind runes, chaos runes, death runes, or blood runes, plus some cash. You can also get bolt racks from Barrows rewards, but if you do Barrows the way that I will suggest it here, you should not get bolt racks. I'm going to go ahead and guzzle one more time on this dwarven rock cake to stop my HP from creeping up to 65, which is where I want it to be, the max. Okay, so aside from food, you will probably need a super energy potion because your agility level might not be as high as mine. Barrows is a lot of running, especially toward the end, as you will see. So an energy potion will definitely help speed things up once you run out of run energy, if you do. If you find that you don't need it, you can swap it out for another piece of food later. Also, an upgrade from the energy potion would obviously be stamina potions, but they are a bit more expensive, I believe. Yeah, see, staminas are 5k each and energy potions are 2k each. So whichever you can afford, the stamina is better, but I'll have the super energy potion here for my run. A very important item to bring for Barrows will be a spade, since you will be digging on all of the Barrows crypts to get in. If you forget a spade, one will spawn just outside of the Barrows area in this house. So if you forget your spade and you've already arrived to Barrows, go into this house and you should find a spade. But I will keep mine on me and include it in my inventory. These runes are for casting Iban Blast. Iban Blast takes 1 death rune and 5 fire runes per cast. So I have enough for 400 casts here, which should be good for maybe 3 or 4 Barrows runs at least. You should be getting death runes from rewards for Barrows, so hopefully those will replenish themselves. You will just have to get more fire runes, which they are not that expensive. So, the Barrows teleports. These I highly recommend investing in. They're 2.5k each, but they will save you a lot of time and anguish when it comes to getting to Barrows. There's no requirements for being able to use the Barrows teleport tablet. If you buy them from the Grand Exchange, they will teleport you right here outside of Barrows, so you're at the entrance and you simply run in and do your trip every time. If you want to be cheap and not buy the Barrows tablets, which I don't recommend, if you've done the Shades of Morton quest, you can minigame teleport. So you open your quest tab, go to minigames, select Shades of Morton, and use the teleport here. And that will get you right outside Barrows in Morton, somewhere about right here. Then you'll have to run across this bridge up and around to Barrows, which will probably use around half of your run energy at least. So that's not recommended, but if you do that, you will especially need to have the super energy potion on you. I'm bringing some teleport to house tablets since the new death mechanics have been implemented into RuneScape. This means if you die at Barrows, you will have 15 minutes to get back to your grave and collect your items. The second part of Barrows is when you're running through the tunnels is a lot harder to get back to and collect your stuff. So I would recommend having a one-click teleport, like teleport to house, or maybe an Ectophiel if you've done Ghosts Ahoy. in order to be able to get out quickly. Alright, so now that I've explained all of my gear and inventory, let's get into a run of Barrows. Now, since I've used my minigame teleport within the last 17 minutes, I will not be using that, but I will be popping a Barrows tablet here. And as you can see, it took me right to the entrance of Barrows. There's the spade I was talking about in this hut here. So, with Runelight on, you can see that this hill here, labeled with a D, is Dharok. The southern hill from it is Guthan. The middle hill right here is Ahrim. The northwestern hill is Verac. The southwestern hill is Torag. And the southernmost hill is Karil. Now basically what you need to know is that you should be praying melee for these 4 hills here, which are the melee brothers. The middle hill, Ahrim, is the mage brother, and the southern hill, Karil, is the ranged brother. So you will be praying your respective protection prayer against each brother. So we're going to go over my preferred route when doing Barrows, which is start at Dharok, go to Ahrim, do Guthan, Karil, Torag, then Verac. The reason I do this is because Dharok, I'm going to assume you know things about the Barrows brothers, but you don't want to drop your melee prayer against Dharok, since if he is low, he can max hit, I think, in the 70s on you, which is not good if we have this amount of HP. So we definitely want our prayer up when doing Dharok, which is why we will start with him. We also want our prayer for Ahrim and Karil, especially these 3 brothers. So that's why these are the first ones that we get to. I may change up my route because I go Dharok, Ahrim, Guthan, Karil for my high level runs. But seeing as this is a low level run, we will probably do Dharok, Ahrim, Karil, Guthan, then Torag, Verac. And I'll explain more about that as we go. So you want to be around the center of the hill here, and then what you do is you're just going to click dig on your spade, but first make sure that you have your protect from melee prayer set up for your quick prayers here. That'll save you a little bit of time and will prevent you from taking damage, especially from Dharok. What we're going to do is make sure we've got Ivan Blast set for auto cast, and we're going to turn auto retaliate off. This will help especially in the labyrinth or second part of the Barrows run. So here we go. We're going to click on with our spade. We're going to do protect from melee, and we're going to click the sarcophagus in the middle. Then we're going to click Dharok. What I like to do, if I can stop lagging, is get right next to these stairs. That way, as soon as we're done killing Dharok, we can run up these stairs because every 16 seconds or so your prayer is being drained. So we want to save our prayer as much as possible by getting out ASAP. There we go. As soon as you see the health bar reach 0, you can safely leave the room and Dharok will be done. If you leave the room before the Barrows brother dies, you will have to dig the same crypt, and they will be at full health, and you'll have to kill them again. Okay, so now that we've done Dharok, let's go to Ahrim. So we step near the middle of the hill here. We're going to change into our ranged gear, since Ahrim is weak to ranged. And we're going to go ahead and open our prayer tab here after we dig, so that we can get to our protect from magic prayer as soon as possible. Let's make sure we're on rapid here. So we're going to dig, switch to our prayers. I click the sarcophagus and then change my prayer. I think that's faster. But as you can see here, Ahrim is our hidden tunnel. He's the one that takes us into the labyrinth, so we'll have to do him last, unfortunately. So we'll have to skip Ahrim, and since we have a low prayer, we're actually going to go ahead and go to Karil next. So we switch back into our armor and Ivan staff, make sure we're still good. And this is Karil, the ranged brother, the southernmost hill. So you're going to want to make sure to protect from missiles against him. So we're going to dig, switch to our prayer book, click on the sarcophagus, and protect from missiles. Now, even though he's ranged and is wearing ranged armor, his magic defense is still fairly low. So remember, I have a negative magic attack bonus, and I'm still hitting generally okay against him. There we go. So you should just be able to camp your protect from missiles prayer. Keep an eye on your prayer, maybe restore here, and then continue attacking Karil until he is dead. So he's dead, we can climb out, and we're good. What I do is if I have protect from missiles on, I just double click your quick prayers, and what that'll do is that'll turn melee on, and then you click it again and it'll turn whatever you had on before off. So even if you've got, say, protect from magic and eagle eye, if you just double tap that, all your prayers will be off. Just a quick little tip. So since we want to do Verac last, we're going to go ahead and do Guthan over here. That way we can make a path this way toward Verac. So Guthan is our second melee brother that we're going to be fighting here. So we're going to be doing protect melee against him. And remember, just walk next to the stairs. If you misclick on the stairs, that's okay. If you're at the beginning of the kill, it won't affect you at all pretty much, and you'll just be able to dig down again and start the fight. Try not to misclick on the stairs, as I said, before the fight is done. So our prayer is getting kind of low here, so we're going to have to take a sip of another, sip of prayer potion here. Now I'm going to try and tank Torag a little bit, just to show you kind of what it might be like even with 90 defense, and show you why we take our armor here. So yeah, so Runelight tells you in red the brothers you've completed, and blue and the brothers that you haven't completed. So Ahrim is our tunnel, we'll just have to remember that, so that's why he's blue. But we're going to be doing Torag and Verac. And tunnel, maybe I should explain that. Every fresh Barrows run, each brother has a likely chance of being essentially not there, like Ahrim was. So our next run, Ahrim might be there, and maybe it's Torag that isn't there, and we'll have to go to his crypt in order to get down into the tunnels. So that's just what that means. It's not always going to be Ahrim, it could be any of the brothers. I'll talk in a little bit after doing Verac what it means for some of the brothers to be your tunnel over others. So now we're going to do Torag. Torag is probably the easiest brother to fight since he's melee and we have armor on. It should be okay for a prayer to drop while fighting him. So he can still hit pretty high in the 20s. But if you have to tank him, say your prayer runs out here. Yeah, I just got hit a 7. But see, you should be able to tank a little bit if you have to against him. If you've got plenty of food and want to save some prayer, you might be okay letting your prayer drop and just tanking Torag's hits. As soon as he's dead, you click the stairs and get out. Alright, so those brothers were pretty straightforward. This brother is not straightforward. This is Verac. Verac's special attack, which he has, I think, a 25% chance of hitting, ignores your armor and ignores your prayer. So even if you've got the best armor, and you're praying protect from melee, his melee attack has a 25% chance to hit through both of those, and it determines and the hit is determined solely on your defensive stat. So higher defense better is the better against Verac. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and not take another sip of prayer potion, since prayer potions are pretty expensive. We're going to try and save that and use food here. We're going to dig. Even though he can hit through your prayer, it's always good to keep it on. Remember, it's only a 25% chance that he hits through. It seems like I'm doing fairly good so far. Verac, along with Torag, have a max hit of about 26. So you don't want your health to fall below around 26, maybe 27 when fighting these guys. I'm going to go ahead and eat a swordfish here. Oh, see? He's doing massive damage. We're going to go ahead and eat 2. We're going to see if we can't finish him off here. It might actually be worth drinking a prayer potion here for Verac. See how much food he made me use? We're going to go ahead and try and eat up almost to full here, so that we can do the next part of our Barrows run, which is the tunnel. So yeah, maybe try and have your prayer up for Verac, but if you don't have any prayer potions left, this is why we wear as much armor as we can to help us protect against his hits. Well, yeah. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and do our tunnel. So let's go ahead and switch into our melee gear, because the tunnels will have rats, skeletons, and bloodworms that you will have to fight. And you'll have to solve a puzzle to get to the treasure chest in the middle. And we'll see what I'm talking about right now. So we'll go ahead and click on the sarcophagus. You found a hidden tunnel. Enter. Yes, I'm fearless. And what we want to do, I'm going to go ahead and get away from him for a little bit. What we want to do is we want to kill we want to kill 2 skeletons and 1 bloodworm here. This will give you the perfect amount of potential so that you get the maximum amount of runes and the still an equal potential chance at getting Barrows gear than anything above what we're going to get. So the magic number you want to see here, potential, is I believe 86 or so. Any higher than that, and you have the risk of getting the bolt racks that I showed you earlier. And if you get those, you have a lower chance of getting more runes. So killing 2 skeletons and 1 bloodworm and killing all of the Barrows brothers will give you that magic number. So here we go. We see a skeleton here. So we're going to go ahead and kill him. And you probably want to save your special attacks for your magic shortbow against Ahrim. So you might be able to use a DDS or 2 down here if you want, but I generally want to keep those for Ahrim. So if you notice here, when you climb down, you have a ladder. You will always have a ladder and 4 doors. Now one of those doors will be a different color than the other doors. These are brown. This one is gray. And you can especially tell because if you right click these doors, it'll say examine. If you right click this one, it'll say open. So you only have one way to go in the beginning, and you'll just have to go through it. And every time you open a door, you have a random chance to spawn a crypt rat, skeleton, or a bloodworm. So we want to kill that skeleton since we've only killed 1 before that. Someone else has already heard him, so we're not going to get off of him. But what you want to do is if you get this long room first, after coming down from the ladder, it means that you're going to skip a room in between. So we started in this room. We're taking this long room around here, and we're going to go into this room, which means we will completely be skipping this room since we couldn't go in there from this side. So when you're coming in, when you're first starting the second part of Barrows, you come down the ladder and it tells you to go into a long room. You want to scroll out your camera like this and just check this middle door here. If it says open, then that means you'll have to come through this room. You'll have to come back and then into this room in order to get to the treasure chest in the middle. If you're coming through the long room and you see examine, this is the room that you don't want to be in, so you don't have to pay any attention to it. So essentially there's a middle room past this room with a treasure chest in it, and you're trying to find the adjacent room that says open, because there's only one way to get in. There's the treasure chest. So a Bloodveld is attacking us, so we're going to go ahead and kill this real quick. So yeah, I've come from this long room here, and every room that you come into after the first one, all the doors will say open. So we don't want to go this way, since the entrance to the middle is blocked off. You can't use these doors. So instead of going the long way, we're going to go ahead and go through the middle here. That way we can check this door. And as you can see, I've right clicked it. It says open, which means this is the door that will take us to the center to open the chest. This is our second skeleton. There we go. After you've killed all but one Barrows brothers, 2 skeletons and 1 bloodworm, you should have around 76 or 77 potential. The brothers are worth different potentials, so that's why it ranges 76 to 77. And this is where we want to be, because when we attempt to open this chest in the middle, the last brother, which will be Ahrim, is going to pop out and start attacking us. So Runelight is heavily suggested. Here we go. Make sure that you have, here we are, there's a plugin called Barrows Brothers. You want to have this enabled. I think it's enabled by default, but just make sure it is, and it'll make your Barrows runs a lot easier. It'll give you these tooltips here. So what we're going to go ahead and do is open this door. Remember, it spawns something that attacks you every time, so you want to be quick. And then you get to this door, which asks you a puzzle. Now, Runelight helps a lot because it solves the puzzle for you. It'll put a green box around the answer. But if you don't have Runelight, look up a wiki or something for Barrows, and that should give you the answer to all these puzzles here that it's showing. You can see it's different puzzles every time. And it looks like when you click on this door, whatever's attacking you takes a break. So that's good. You just click on it, click the one with the green box. It's unlocked now. You hear the locking mechanism grind open. We're going to go ahead and eat in preparation for Ahrim. We're going to step through. And here we are at the chest. We're in the chest room now. Something else that I'd like to explain is if you haven't found your 2 skeletons and 1 bloodworm by the time you get to the chest room, what you can do, see, all but one of these doors is openable. So you go to your door that you can open, and what you can do is say you're missing your bloodworm, right? You open this door and you spawn a bloodworm. Or say that wasn't a bloodworm, what you can do is you can open this door again and see if that's a bloodworm. If it's not, open this door, see if you can spawn a bloodworm or a skeleton, whatever you need. Alright. So as soon as we open this chest, Ahrim is going to pop out. This skeleton is not going to aggro us anymore since we'll be fighting Ahrim. Ahrim takes priority. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait for this prayer drain to go down. It went. So we're going to drink a prayer potion dose, put on protect from magic, equip your range gear, open the chest, and fight Ahrim the Blighted. So here we are. Rune arrow plus magic cross or short bow should do work against him, but we will see. Go ahead and use a special attack here. Wow, that was a pretty good hit. Notice our prayer is draining a bit, so we'll go ahead and sip. Oh, we might not need to sip another dose. Nope, we're good. So our prayer is going to drain here. Yep, and we're going to lose our protect from magic here, but that's fine. We're going to go ahead and equip our gear that we had on before, and we're going to hit search. So I have the Morytania hard diaries done, so I get double the runes, but this is just an example of what you might get from doing a Barrows run. So I got 70k there, 78k. You might get, if you don't have the Morytania hards done, you might get around 40k or so from that chest. So now that we've opened the chest, what happens is the room starts to shake, and pieces fall from the ceiling every now and then, like there, and deal damage to you. If you don't have a teleport, what you'll have to do is you'll have to navigate your way back to the ladder room, which I believe is over here. Yeah. You'll have to navigate your way back to the ladder. I see two ladders for some reason. You'll have to navigate your way back to the ladder and climb up, and you'll be in Ahrim's crypt. And you can do another Barrows run from there. But the preferred method essentially is to right click your dueling ring and hit Clan Wars. You'll be at Clan Wars and you just go west. What you can do first actually is you go west to the bank. We used a lot of food. We still have plenty of prayer potions. So since I used 3 doses of prayer potion for 1 trip, let's say I want to do 4 more trips. No. I used 1 dose of prayer potion, or 1 prayer pot, and I used a lot of food. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put away 2 prayer pots. We'll just have 2 here for emergencies. And we'll just grab a lot of food out. And there we go. We'll move our energy potion here, and we'll bring more food for next time. So what you'll need to do is just gauge how many prayer potions, how much food you need, and adjust it as needed. So now that we've got our next inventory set up, we're going to go into this free-for-all portal. And you don't actually need to exit it before you teleport. You can just teleport in here. So I'm going to click my Barrows tablet. And your stats will be completely refilled once you get to Barrows. So my HP and my prayer are actually a bit higher than they were at the beginning. You just run back to Dharok and you do it again. So that was kind of a long video. I explained a lot of things, but hopefully this helps anybody. Again, highly recommend Barrows teleports. If you made 40k on that chest, you've already made back your money for the Barrows teleport and the 1 prayer potion we used, plus the swordfish. So generally you should make money from Barrows. And what I should mention is that you'll get runes with this technique every time, except for when you get a Barrows item. Barrows items have about a 1 in 15 chance to drop if you kill all of the Barrows brothers. So if you do maybe 20 Barrows runs, you should have at least 1 item, maybe even 2 if you're lucky. And those items are very expensive, so you should make your money back almost definitely. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the guide. I hope you learned something. And I hope this helps at least one person.